Hey everybody, it's Dan with Good Earth Water Gardens. We're taking a little break from our project this morning and installing a fountainscape at this homeowner's house. Watch how easy it is to get this in the ground. So today we're installing this Aquascape Amphora Vase fountain kit. Basically it's this little urn that sits on this reservoir. It has a little pump underneath and then it just pumps the water up to the top of that urn and it falls back down into this basin and just kind of recirculates. Before we get started, let's go over a little list of materials of things you'll need for this project. For this job, it's ideal to have a couple tools on hand. You're going to want a wheelbarrow, you're going to want a shovel to dig, a level, a tamper, and probably about 3 or 4 buckets of gravel and some screening base material just to help level things. You can use sand too. A few more items that are ideal to have for this project are some of this landscape fabric. You can buy it in a roll, a pair of shears to cut the fabric, some of these landscape anchoring pins to stick in the ground and secure that fabric, and then a flathead screwdriver. So let's get started, open up this kit, and show what it all entails. So as you can see, we've got the components out of the box and Joe's kind of setting up the reservoir, just doing a dry fit. It's got these 2 sections that come together that go on top of the reservoir. And here's an overview for how the rest of the lid fits together. So you're going to snap the 2 sections to one another. You're going to thread the nut and bolt through the pre-drilled holes, and then finish tightening with your flathead screwdriver. And that's basically the gist of how it all fits together. Next, we're going to decide location for this fountain, and that's going to give us more precise measurements for where we're going to dig. So we've picked our spot with the homeowner for this urn, and now we're going to start digging. All right, now we've got our hole pretty much dug out and Joe's got this tamper. Joe, why do we tamp things?
The main reason we want to tamp is we want to make sure nothing settles over time, and then when we're done we'll put some sand in there for leveling and then we'll be ready to go.
Now we're putting our base material in. This just helps kind of level it out and keep it nice and even, especially working with this tough clay. So we've got the base material in and the reservoir is getting set. They're just leveling it out to make sure that it's nice and even.
Cool. Let's do the back.
So now that we have our basin level, you can see we've slightly overdug around the corners, and that just allows us a little bit of playroom. And good thing is we can just backfill that with extra sand or extra dirt that we've taken out from the hole here. One thing I want to point out here is that our basin is slightly above the grade of the dirt here in the garden bed. And we do that because we don't want excess water from the garden running into this basin. Actually, it's better if you fill it actually by a garden hose instead of letting runoff that can contain fertilizer or other things that could contaminate the water inside the reservoir, which could in turn cause an algae bloom or just something that you don't want getting into your fountain. So now we're finishing backfilling this, and if you don't want to use your hands, you can also use a shovel too, kind of compact the dirt. So we're pretty much done backfilling it and compacting around the edges. Jordan, it looks like there's a little bit of a lip around there. Why'd you guys do that?
We do that so that way it can lock in with the reservoir. It'll stay flush with the ground and it'll look natural.
Okay, so the lid is on tight. We're just gonna make sure that everything is still level and nothing is shifted. Joe's about ready to hook up the pump. First, we're going to take this hose that comes with it and run it through the top of the vase right there. And that little guard right there will keep it from going through the bottom. Next, we're going to take the pump right here, and then there is this optional ball valve that we're going to install on it. It's just a little regulator in case you want to adjust the flow of the pump. So there are two reservoir tops to access this pump, and since our power outlet's over here, we're going to choose the closest one to the power outlet, which is this one. And basically you just pop it off like so, and your pump will just fit right down in there. But first we're going to take the tube and run it through this center hole of the reservoir. Go ahead and pull it up. And then just slip it right over that little regulator. And as you can see, that extension cord will fit right through the hole. So you can see right here, Joe's cutting up a little bit of landscape fabric, and he's gonna place this around the reservoir so that gives us a little bit more of that free-flowing contoured shape instead of just having it be a square or rectangular basin. So while the guys are adding the last finishing touches of the fabric around the reservoir, we're going to start filling it. So now the basin's full. We've got our outline of the landscape fabric around the reservoir for where the rock's going to go. See back here, we made sure the extension cord ran over the top of our fabric just so it's easy to access in the winter time when we need to pull that pump out.
And now let's install our decorative gravel.
So you can see that our rock is down over the reservoir, and just adding that little bit of extra landscape fabric really kind of softens and makes it more of a curved shape instead of that rectangular shape like it originally was. Now we're going to start putting the mulch around it, and we're going to get ready to turn it back on. So that pump cord's only so long in length, so it may be required to run an extension cord from an area like the side of your home just to get power to it, which is perfectly fine for this case. All right, now we're ready to plug it in. So there we have it, a beautiful little simple fountainscape. Very easy to install and makes a nice little accent to this front yard space.